Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life that you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where our broadcast is sponsored by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app, for those of you that continue using the contribution pages of our websites, to continue to support the broadcast at New Life Ministries International.com and New Life International CDC.com. And those of you that use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and on YouTube, and those of you that are now using Zelle on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers we want to stay connected with you throughout the week through our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. Stay connected so you can stay connected with the Spirit on our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I want to remind everyone that we had an amazing time yesterday at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So if you're ever in our area, come and worship with us. We want you to experience a better quality of life. We are there every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and we invite you to come and worship with us. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your daughter goes from one dysfunctional relationship to another. And it is your concern about what will happen to her life, what will become of her life when you are gone. So let me say this to you. You can't concern yourself with what her life will become when you're gone, because you'll be gone. What you can do is pour into her now, continue to share with her information that will help her to understand the dysfunction that she's living in, and pray and believe God that she will figure it out. Now, having said that, she's going to continue to live in dysfunction until she decides that she no longer wants to live in dysfunction. Until she figures it out, she'll continue to live in dysfunction. But that can't be part of your life worry. You cannot waste, for lack of a better term, waste God's time of your life being concerned about what's going to happen or what will become of her life when you are gone. You've given her the tools, and this is for all parents. Let's just be clear about this. When we're actively engaged parents, we give our children the tools that they need to be successful in life. And I'm going to take you down a path on this because this is real important that we understand this as parents. We give them the tools necessary to build a great quality of life. We help them to get their education. We help them to understand what it means to go from childhood to adulthood. We help them through their maturation process. But there comes a time in life when we have to allow them to figure it out at their own expense and not at our expense. If they create a dysfunctional lifestyle, they've got to live in that dysfunction, and we can no longer interfere in what God is doing in their lives, because then we become their savior. We have to recognize that at some point in time, we have to allow them to be adults so that when we go home to be with the Lord, they will be able to live this life and figure it out for themselves. That's going to be real important. So I'm going to break this down for you. Some people like drama, dysfunction, toxicity. That's the way they choose to live. And here's the reality of all of this. And I've said something to this effect in a sermon previously. The fact of the matter is that as children, we're raised until age 17 or 18 to go out on our own, go to college, and try to build a better quality of life. And you know, I often refer to the 7 years because in the Bible it talks about the 7 years. It talks about the year of Jubilee. Everything means something to God. So for about the first 7 years, this is what I say to people. Whether you graduate from college at 21 or whether you graduate at 22, depending on your birth date, you get 7 years after that. Those 7 years after that that puts you at roughly is going to put you at 28 or 29. So before the age of 30, you have the opportunity to make some mistakes because whatever life's traumas you dealt with as a child, whatever experiences you had as a child, some of that's going to be present in your life. It's going to replay itself. It's going to be revisited. So 29 to 30, you get the opportunity to overcome the trauma. Now, when I say, so 28 to 29, right? But that's before the age of 30. And then you get an additional period of time to build your life. But that's based on your decisions. And as parents, we kind of, we want to help them make those decisions because, they're getting old. They've now worked their way through some of the trauma, drama, whatever they dealt with. Or whatever they perceive they've dealt with as a child, because some of it's just perception. But here's the reality. You get in your 30s, and truth be told, you can't hold your parents responsible for what your life looks like, because now you have the opportunity to start building a life for yourself. So realistically, let's just say realistically at 28, 29, you really, even if you took 7 more years to build your life, by 35, there's no excuses. The sad part about that is you don't really want to wait until 35 because life's half over. according to, 70 years of age, anything above that, you are on borrowed time. Now, fortunately enough, if we take care of ourselves and God is merciful, we'll live a lot longer than that. But the reality is you don't want to really waste that time. So you've got to start focusing on how you're building your own life. And I'm saying that in the term of the next generation, but you as the parent can't concern yourself with what her life is going to become after you're gone. Because she has the opportunity to build a life that is functional as opposed to dysfunctional. A great quality of life. She has the opportunity to do that. So you said in your communication your daughter's 40. Look, if that's how she wants to live her life right now, she's going to live her life that way. And she may live her life that way even after you're gone. But at some point in time, she'll figure out that that's not going to lead to her enjoying her later years. And she's going to make whatever changes are necessary. She'll figure it out. We all have to. That's the thing about life. We all have to figure it out. But we don't have to figure it out for ourselves. And some of you knew I'd get here. Because the revelation for our life is in the Holy Bible. It's the handbook of living your basic instructions before leaving earth. So if we don't read it, we're going to be groping in darkness, trying to find the light. When the light is present, if we seek the light. But right now, she's doing dysfunctional relationships because that's the way she chooses to live. The question is, why are you concerning yourself? That's the bigger question. You said in your communication, you're concerned about what her life will become when you're gone. You can't wear yourself out focusing on what's going to happen with her life when you leave here. Because that's no longer your responsibility or your problem. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Pastor, that sounds kind of harsh because, I bring them in the world and, I'm responsible for them. You're responsible for them until they become adults. We are not responsible for our children when they become adults. And if they don't mature and they choose to live dysfunctionally, you have to allow them to do that because that is God working in them. God's doing something in their lives because he's doing something in all of our lives. And we have to recognize that. And we have to recognize we can't be their savior. The time comes when we really have to let go and let God. We have to make that decision. That has to be a conscious decision, or we'll keep falling into the same traps, worrying about what they're doing, worrying about whether or not they're going to be all right when we're gone. When we're gone, we're gone. They'll figure it out. They'll have to. But what you really need to start doing is letting them figure it out now so that you don't have to be concerned about what's going to happen with their life when you're gone. Let them figure it out now. Let her figure out. It's real hard, and particularly, I'll say this, having a daughter, it's a little different the way we, as fathers, the way we handle our sons as opposed to the way we handle our daughters. I know I handle my son differently than I handle my daughter. And the reason is because he's married with children. He has to be a solid foundation for his family to stand on. Daughters, we as fathers, we are willing to care for them until we hand them off when they're married to someone. And then they're no longer our responsibility. We're just available if they need us. Because once they are identified and found by someone who wants to take their hand in marriage, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. And if he finds a wife, she also, because she's been found, will obtain favor of the Lord. But you say she keeps going from dysfunctional relationship to dysfunctional relationship. She will until she no longer desires to. And that's the simple answer. You just have to let go and let God. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you set a resolution to begin working out at the beginning of the year. Okay, I want to stop right there, but I'm not. I'm going to continue. You said, however, you no longer are motivated. That's traditionally what happens after the first couple of weeks with most people. You want to know, what can you do to get motivated and remain motivated? So let me say this to you. I'm going to break this down, and this is going to be for all of our listeners and viewers, okay? We are 3 weeks into the new year. You set a resolution. That was the first problem. You know, this is something that society has taught us to do, or as I like to say, the world has taught us to do. You don't want to set resolutions. You want to set goals. You want to set goals because goals mean that you can accomplish them. Resolution just simply means you resolve to do something until you're no longer resolved to do it. So let's think about it from this perspective. You want to be motivated. You say you're no longer motivated. You want to know, what can you do to get motivated? What I'm going to tell you is real simple, but then I'm going to expound on this a little further. And that is, just do something every day. Whether it's floor exercises at home, or whether it is going to the gym and just doing something, or whether it is walking every day or running every day, or whatever it might be, getting in your steps, whatever it is, you want to do something every day. And if you're intentional about doing something every day, watch this. If you can do sit-ups, do sit-ups every day. If you can do push-ups, do push-ups every day. If you have dumbbells, do dumbbells every day. If you have whatever you can do something every day. And if you do that, you will find that you'll be motivated to do it, because your body will start craving you to do it. Your body will have an expectation. The problem with most people, and this is you're no different in this situation. Most people want to set resolutions at the beginning of the year. I've resolved that I'm going to begin working out every year. The problem is you began it, but you didn't maintain it. And that happens for so many people. You're a few weeks into the new year, you know, we often say people will set resolutions to start working out at the beginning of the year, and come 2 weeks go by, generally by the end of 2 weeks they stop. Certainly by the end of the month, you'll see more people drop off. And by the middle, 45 days into the new year, you will see most people have dropped their resolutions. So what they've been resolved to do is begin. the process. They didn't resolve to continue the process, and the reason is because they didn't set a goal. Your goal should be, I'm going to work out all year long. I'm going to do something, and I'm not suggesting you cannot take a day off, okay? I'm not going to suggest that to you. There are going to be days when you will say, I'm going to rest my body today. But then you go right back to doing something the next day. You don't decide you're going to rest your body for 6 months. You want to do something every day. You want to, as I said, even if it's just getting steps in, you want to get at least 6,000 steps in every day. So how can you get those steps in? You're going to find ways to get those steps in every single day. Get up and move. A body in motion stays in motion. But the problem is you didn't set goals. So I'm going to give you an example of last year. I set a goal that I wanted to work out 250 days for the year. So that's not just last year. That was the year before that. That was the year before that. I always set the same goal, and the goal is, obviously, there's 365 days in a year. So if there's 365 days in a year, and I only set a goal to work out 250 days, that means I am taking some days off to rest my body. But I'm going to work out more than I take off. So that means about, realistically, if I'm taking 115 days off in a year, but I'm working out 250 of them, that means that I'm really going to be, getting in about every other day. Maybe a little more than that. But the reality is, well, definitely a little more than that. But because I know my body. So you got to know your body also. What impact is it going to have if you work out every day? But do something every day. At least walk. Get your steps in. Do some push-ups. Do some sit-ups. Whatever you can do some squats. Whatever you can do it. And that will allow you to stay motivated to work out, because your body eventually is going to say, look, I will tell you, my body craves push-ups. My body craves dumbbells. My body craves doing that when all of this snow is gone and it begins, and spring comes and it begins to warm up. My body's going to be craving getting out for a run, because you're staying active. You're getting some exercise. Your body's going to crave certain things. So I'm going to encourage you, just do something daily. And the days that you say, I'm going to stop to rest my body, then rest your body. But get right back to it the next day. Just keep doing something, and you'll find you will be motivated. Your body will motivate you. Your mind will motivate you. Because the body in motion stays in motion. And one thing we all want to be is, we want to be whole in our body, our mind, and our spirit. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, where you will virtually have the opportunity to build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you are in our area, you can simply go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, provide you with the loaner vehicle, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PortiaDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you are dealing with some anxiety about life not being what you want it to be. You want to know, how do you deal with that anxiety? You know, one of the ways of dealing with anxiety is to stop trying to make everything happen on your terms, the way you want it to happen. That creates, now there's a lot of forms of anxiety there, but this is one of the ways of addressing the issue that you've expressed, which is you're just anxious about life. Stop trying to make everything happen the way you want it to happen, and stop trying to make everything happen immediately. Just keep working at the pace that God has you on. And here's what we all need to know. If you get in a relationship with the Lord, God will, and you get out of the pace that God wants you to go, God will slow you down. He will slow your pace down because you're moving too fast. You're trying to outrun God. And everything has to be in His time. You got to be able to focus on each step. It's like climbing a ladder. I'll use that as an analogy. When you're climbing a ladder, a tall ladder, you have to be aware of where you place your foot. Because if you don't, your foot's either going to slip through the rung and you're going to fall, or you're going to miss the rung and you're going to fall. But either way, the fall is what's going to kill you or hurt you. It's going to be that sudden stop. And the one thing you don't want to do is miss a step. So you don't want to get out of pace. You don't want to try and miss a step. You don't want to try and run too fast when you're really supposed to be walking, because your equilibrium might not be up to par. And what I mean by that is, all things being created equal, you may not be able to move at the pace that you want to move. So just keep working. But work at a pace that is sustainable, not a pace that's going to burn you out or take you out. Pace yourself. And don't worry about where you are right now. Trust God that you are where you're supposed to be. That's the key for all of us. It's just trusting God that we are right where we're supposed to be. And then as God continues to enlarge your coast and enlarges your territory, and God continues to do great things in your life, you'll be able to move at a pace that will be sustainable and not try to outpace God. Because that's really what the problem is. You're trying to outpace God. You want everything to be the way you want it to be right at this moment. And life just doesn't work that way. It's not even feasible to do that, because God is in control of all things. And so what we're really doing is kicking against the pricks. We're trying to make things happen on our own power, instead of allowing God to move in us and through us, and be content right where we are, not complacent. Just be content in knowing that God is moving. He's moving. He's moving day by day, step by step. He's moving hour by hour, minute by minute. God is in control of every facet of our lives. And what happens is, when we try to outpace God, we wear away. And if we wear away, those around us who depend on us to be strong and depend on us to be capable, they'll wear away also. So we have to be mindful of not trying to outpace God. And that's where your anxiety comes from. So let's slow your roll, slow your pace, and go at the pace that God has appointed for your life. Today's Daily Divine Direction Broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, tune in on our internet radio station. Stay connected with us at WKAPfaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day